Hi, Kevin. Welcome to Take 4 with Fortrea. I'm so glad to see you here and having time with you today. So firstly, can you introduce yourself? Tell us your name, your job title here at Fortrea, and where you're located.
Thank you for having me today, Gemma. So I'm Kevin Chan, the Clinical Operations Manager for both FSP and FSO that's based in Singapore.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm excited to hear your answers. First question, Kevin. How would you describe the key differences between FSP, clinical operations, and full service models?
I'd like to believe the main difference would be the way clinical operations staffs are resourced. FSP staffs are usually just assigned to a single sponsor, but with full service, or maybe one other sponsor. And the minimal resource here in Fortrea, for example, the split is 0.5 FTE. For full service would be, more of your traditional unit-based sort of resourcing model, meaning that it can be assigned to as many different sponsors as the units allow. And of course, some studies and sometimes even the roles, depending on what kind of client mix that we have.
And what does successful collaboration look like between your CRO team and sponsor in an FSP setup?
In my perfect world, I would imagine a complete transparency and trust while always trying to achieve a win-win scenario for any decisions that were made. For example, I will have a sponsor counterpart that will share with us any headwinds and opportunities to align on the response to our respective leadership, just to minimize that miscommunication and confusion. In the end of the day, what we want is the same, and that is really to push forward clinical trials.
And how do you maintain team motivation and performance when working across different sponsors, systems, and processes?
I think this is a more relevant question to our full service team, where they manage a lot of different systems and have to follow a myriad of SOPs depending on the assignments that they have. So what I like to employ is the good old carrot and stick. Your KPI accountability being the stick, and the carrot would be exposure, maybe probability to move across models, different clients, try to get as much exposure as I can for them. My focus to the team has always been for them to get what they need to succeed in their career journey.
Okay, and what trends are you seeing in the FSP space, and how do you see this model evolving in the next few years?
So I'm a firm believer that trends are cyclic, whether the returning form is exact or not, but the core fundamentals I believe would be quite similar. To answer that question, I believe we probably need to go back in time a little bit, where full service as a resource model really took its hold when there is a rising adoption for cost efficiency and flexibility. So, there are a lot of in-house roles that were outsourced towards a full service model. So following the same principles, sponsors now increasingly favor FSP for the same reason. That is really to reduce overhead costs associated with, maintaining in-house teams by outsourcing those specialized functions. This allows them to have a lot more control over company resources by scaling up and down a global resource pool on demand. So currently, we are seeing a lot more blended FSP and traditional full service role. And based on conversation, is really to balance control and scalability. Sponsors were saying that allows them to retain oversight of their core functions while outsourcing the non-core tasks. We're also seeing a shift from a vendor-client dynamic with sponsors towards a more collaborative partnership, where FSP staff act like a strategic advisor and offer consultative type of support from regulatory, submission strategy, operations, risk management, technology adoptions, you name it, right? I do see FSP expanding into emerging markets and biotechs over the next few years. In terms of emerging markets, sponsors who are unfamiliar with areas of Southeast Asia, for example, continue to engage us more and more and involve us in their expansion plan to such markets. And for emerging biotechs, we can see that these biotechs are being a lot more resistant towards acquisitions and wanted to grow their own team. So I can certainly see FSP playing a pivotal role in their journey to grow their company overall.
And then, Kevin, where would we find you on a weekend? What would you be doing?
You'll find me sitting in front of my computer, really just stoning away. I like to do most of my activities in a computer, be it learning, or just, having fun. But sometimes you do find me in the backcountry where I'm camping it out. I'm your rare biotechnology tech nerd that actually touches grass.
And if you could take a trip anywhere in the world, where would that be?
I think it would be the South Pole. Yeah, I've always been the adventurous one. I always like snow, but not sure if I like, South Pole kind of cold. I'm always enamored with, those Antarctica expedition. Hopefully I can ride an icebreaker someday, go on, South Pole expedition.